It's that time of the year again. The Premier League has had its say. We're going to be putting a full stop to the season. I'm here with the guys, Martin, Mike and Paul. We're going to be talking through why the season was such a good season or why it was such a bad season. This is the first of a 3-part series. Keep checking the channel, BlueMoonRisingTV, to find the other 2. And we'll start, one-word answer. Rate the season out of 10. Martin.
8.
8.
I'll go with 8.
I think 7.
7.
6.
6. What would have made it an 8, Paul?
I think you'd need to get a trophy to finish on an 8, lads. I mean, even if it was just the League Cup or something.
Possibly. I'll revise down to a 6.
Yeah, all right.
I'm staying to an 8.
Yeah, do you reckon we can
6
bring
wins
him
out
down?
of 6 at the end. I mean, come on, we finish optimistically. We're Blues at the end of the day. Glass is, well, at least 1/8 full.
It's empty, that
Yeah,
one. That should be mine.
Yeah.
I'm with Paul. If we're talking over the course of the season, FA Cup disappointed, Capital One Cup disappointed, Champions League slightly disappointed, Premier League there and thereabouts.
I think you're coming at it from the end of the season where we've just gone on 6 wins on the bounce, which is fantastic. But let's forget about that for a second and think about actually what we came out of the season with, or cast your mind back to like 3 months ago, and just we were in dire straits.
We're going to be beaten in the Champions League by, I think, we'll be the winners by a long chalk, Barcelona. So you can't put that down as disappointment. You know, we went to the Camp Nou, everybody else has gone there and got battered. We got beat 1-0 and we missed a penalty. So you have to think optimistically as a City fan. And, you know, I still cast an eye back to probably 7-8 years ago. And I have to say, yeah, I'm sticking with an 8.
But as someone who's watched City for years and years and years, 7 or 8 years ago, and you said we're going to be second at the end of the season, Calais. But
yeah,
we're a big club now, and do we say we have to win a trophy like Paul said?
I think you've got to revise your expectations. I mean, we're not, and I don't actually like it when we start comparing ourselves to us in the second division, because City are not a second division club, nor have they ever been really. We're
now an elite club in Europe, and we should start having that view of being an elite club in Europe.
But we are an elite club in Europe. With for the last 5 seasons, or 5 years, I should say, we've not finished worse than second. Nobody else has done that. That's not looking back and saying, remember when the second division. That's turning around and saying Chelsea were arguably just a bit better. Not on the pitch they weren't. They were better going away from home on a Tuesday night, maybe away at Stoke, than we were. But my point is,
won there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. But my point is,
was that Tuesday night?
Yeah, but my point is with it. It's not looking back and saying the dark times. It's looking at the times being realistic. You know, the hunger is the only thing that I would put my finger on it. At that point in the season, when you start going into January level with Chelsea, who was more hungry for the title? That's your bottom line. That's why it's an 8 and not a 9. That's what I'm saying.
Talking about elite clubs in Europe, Real Madrid, I think we can all agree, are elite. They finished second in their respective league. They've sat their manager. Pellegrini, 1 more year.
Yeah. I never really wanted him to stay because I wanted Pep to come in. I've always been championing the Pep story. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, does it? So I don't think there's anyone else. I wouldn't be surprised if he came in from Real Madrid, though. But I'd love to give it Pellegrini another year, stamp his own authority on the team.
I think everybody now, after the end of the season, a few months ago again, everybody was angry. But I think those last 6 games, he's managed he's clawed it back well and truly.
I think what's changed some of the fans' perspective is, like Martin just said, we went to Barcelona and got beat 1-0. Everybody else has been there and got stuffed. And since then, you've seen teams, they've took Bayern Munich apart. And you're thinking, well, we didn't do too bad after all, did we? So I think that's where people's perspective has changed. And they thought, well, Pellegrini probably knows what he's doing to a certain extent here.
Yeah, I think with Pellegrini, though, I think, you know, with Champions League football, you blink and you're dead. That's the bottom line. And the thing is, in the first half of the first match, it took him that long to work him out. Second half of the first match, we were better. First half at the Nou Camp, we were worse. He worked him out again, brought Navas on, took Nasri off, and we were arguably at least in the game. I said if we were in the game with 10 minutes to go, that was we were doing brilliantly.
We probably lost the game in 90 minutes on the first half of the first game and the first half of the second game.
Absolutely.
Put Messi in our team, would we have won that game? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'd never lose, would
we? Yeah, exactly.
James Milner wouldn't have been nutmegged, but, you know.
Yeah, well, he's nutmegged better people than Milner, though, hasn't he? To be fair, so
yeah.
I wouldn't be too ashamed of that.
Yeah.
But Pellegrini,
for another year for me.
I think Pellegrini in Europe, did we expect a bit more? Like I think he got shown up a little bit, especially at home. 4-4-2 when you mentioned it.
Yeah.
When we saw that, I think we all just.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Ultimately, he got it wrong, and I think in the Champions League, especially against Barcelona, the real elite teams, that top four arguably, if you get it wrong at the start, that's enough for you to be finished.
All I want from Pellers is a little bit more, a bit more fire in his belly. Where Mourinho doesn't stand for any nonsense. Ferguson never stood for any nonsense. Even people like Allardyce, who I can't stand, will stand up for himself. And I wish Pellegrini would start doing that a little bit more. Like we've been hampered by only having a 21-man squad in the Champions League. So he needs to be saying that. Look, we have struggled this year because of this, this and this.
Is that not playing with fire? Because Mourinho, for me, when it comes to...
You don't have to direct it at Mourinho,
tactics,
do you?
Like when it comes to press conference, Mourinho is the best on the planet by a long way. And he can get into your head. And I quite like that Pellegrini, unlike previous managers, just sort of lets him get on with it. And his attitude is very much, is that what another manager has said in the I don't care, I want to talk about Man City and I want to talk about my team.
It's fine, I think, when you're obviously winning and you have the upper hand. I think the difficulty comes when the results don't quite go our way, the frustration starts to build. The fans want some leadership as well as the players do. And in that dark period that you talked around, end of January, coming into maybe the start of March and probably finishing at the derby, you didn't see a lot of fire. The one thing I would say about Pellegrini is, again, away at Crystal Palace when he came out and they said, "You're really disappointed with that" on Sky, and he came out and went, "We had 74% possession. We've just been beaten by Crystal Palace. Arguably the title's gone. People are, if you weren't at the game, you were picking up your TV set."
I like the team to have a bit of a siege mentality.
Yeah.
I love they talk about this holistic approach, and have that for the club, have that for the academy, but the first team is the bread and butter. And you have a siege mentality, and that's all that really matters at the club.
The thing is, though, you talk about Mourinho. When the going is going well, he's the best manager in the world, as you say. But when the going gets tough for Mourinho,
He's flat.
He's just at Real Madrid. When he started losing and the pressure got to him, and that is a high pressure job, obviously, probably the most high pressure job in club football, and he lost it. And he started jabbing his thumb in the eyes of assistant managers, and he couldn't hack it. And when when it's going well, he's the best in the world. But when it's not, he loses it. And Pellegrini, okay, he got ruffled his feathers a bit. Mourinho, I guess, when it was going tough. But in the end, he's kept his head, I think. And I think next season he'll come back, and I think he'll come up good. I
think he has. What you've got to remember about Mourinho, where he's actually he suits Chelsea, because at the end of the day, all you need is about the result at Chelsea. He wouldn't suit Barcelona because the result, just winning's not good enough, or Real Madrid, winning's not good enough. And to be honest with you, Man City, the way we play, the way we've become used to Mancini and Pellegrini's sides playing, the free-flowing football, the goals coming in, if we suddenly went to 1-0 and stifling the life out of games, I think towards the end of the season, regardless of whether you got the championship back, we'd still be talking about 7s and 8s.
I think
because we'd be remembering 6-1s and we'd be remembering 5-1s.
If you asked any City fan, would you want to win the Premier League the way Mourinho plays, or do you want to finish second or possibly win the Premier League next year the way Pellers plays? They'd go for Pellegrini every day of the week, wouldn't they?
Agreed. 100%.
Is it something about the Bayern Munich now have a Bayern Munich way and Barcelona have the Barcelona way? Do Man City we play attractive attacking football, but you can't pinpoint our formation or exactly how we played.
Was it Swansea? We scored. Was it against Spurs? I think we scored like a counter-attacking goal, like a classic counter-attacking goal. And when we were playing, I think was it Spurs or Swansea?
Yeah,
and it was just. And we're not a pacey team really, but because we've got players who can move the ball so quickly, and you've got Aguero up front, you can score on the counter. And I think when I saw that goal, I thought, that's how you've got to play against teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona, because you're not going to dominate, and we're too used to dominating. And then when a team like that comes across, you've got to switch your game plan a bit, and we've not had that practice, I guess.
But my argument is that if there's one negative point about Pellegrini, is that everybody around this table and everybody in that ground knows that when we're playing Barcelona or a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich 4-5-1, we can compete with anybody at 4-5-1 formation. As soon as you go 4-4-2, against any of those teams, we are not on the same league. And it's been proven in the first half against Barcelona, a 4-4-2 formation was suicide. And he worked it out and he changed it, to give him credit. But arguably, you'd blinked and it had gone.
I think
we
against
can't do that.
Teams like that, you've got to press. You can't
yeah.
give them any time
Absolutely,
on the ball whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got to press, as Barcelona did against Bayern Munich. As soon as you get the ball, you've got to be hitting them. And we don't do that enough against those teams. First half against Barcelona, we gave them far too much respect. Let them get the ball, and then they could have read the paper in the time that they had to control it and have a look about, see who they were going to pass it to. And you can't do that against the top sides.
But there was that point, wasn't there, at 2-1 when we scored, just for that 3 minutes before we had the sending off, where you just thought, here we go, this is City's time. And each season, I think we've progressed. I really do think we've progressed. So my belief is that we're on the front foot going forward in that competition, and my belief is that going forward with the Premier League, we've got every opportunity. No one's better than us in the Premier League on our day.
No.
This season, final question, have we gone backwards?
Yeah, because we haven't won it. For me, in terms of the Premier League, we've gone a slight step backwards, but I've seen progression for me in the Champions League.
What about yourself, Mike?
I think football-wise, we've gone backwards slightly, definitely. We've not played a fast-flowing, free-flowing, attacking football as we have done in the past. But that could be down to injuries and changing of players and formations all the time.
Yeah, I mean, results-wise, we've gone backwards. I don't think we've improved where we've needed to improve as well, and that's something else to look at, isn't it? It's another matter entirely.
That was the first of our 3-part season review. Keep an eye out on BlueMoonRisingTV for the other 2 videos. We'll be talking through which individual players have had star seasons and who we might look to bring in the future.
This is Ricky the Hitman Hatton. Subscribe to Blue Moon Rising TV for a knockout time.